Hello, today I'm going to be reviewing Toni Morrison's new book, God Help the Child. Short book, I think 178 pages. Yeah, 178. Let me say, first 5-star novel of the year. Brilliant. Brilliant book. Now, I'll go ahead and say this. I've only read one other Toni Morrison, and that was The Bluest Eye. I like this a lot better than The Bluest Eye, although, you know, time will tell. Critics and whoever, I'm sure, will tell me I am very wrong, but I like this better than The Bluest Eye. It follows the story of a woman whose full name is Lula Ann Bridewell, but has shortened her name as an adult to Bride. She has grown up and left the small town she grew up in and become like a fashion executive, very stylish woman who just goes by the monomer Bride, and it kind of goes by, and the narrative structure of this book is very interesting because you have chapters. It starts with giving you a chapter kind of in the perspective of the major characters you need to see, and then it kind of transitions into like this third person, and then back, and then it's very interesting. The two Morrisons I've read have both had very interesting narrative structures, which do a lot to kind of, like, they're very effective. In this book, what I thought was very effective is that you get a very rich understanding of these characters very quickly. For such a short book, you cover so much emotional ground and growth that it's really impressive that it was condensed down into, like, this, like, very short, powerful, like, I think I read this book in almost one sitting. The only reason I didn't is because I had plans and I had to go do something. So I read half of it, went and did what I needed to do, came back and read the other half. So incredibly easy reading, as far as it being compelling and interesting and quick and very smooth, beautiful sentences that are easy to swallow. I think there was a lot of interesting imagery with, like, the color of Bride's skin. She's referred to as, like, blue-black. Very, very dark. And from the very beginning, so this isn't a spoiler, you know that exact darkness, her mother hates her for it and almost shuns her because her mother's light-skinned and believes the lighter you are, the better you are, and the easier life will be for you. But then as an adult, Bride wears, like, white, only wears the color of white to accentuate the blackness of her skin, and she's referred to numerous times as a very beautiful, striking figure. And you have this I forget his name. Let me see. Because you have him. It's her Booker. You have her boyfriend. It's her boyfriend Booker, who's a fascinating character, and you get his backstory, and it's fascinating. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's not great, but it's very interesting and well written. There's a lot in this book about like pedophilia and the consequences thereof. So and potentially rape. So you need a trigger warning. There are triggers in this book. It's very much a brutal story. And I think ultimately very interesting. Does it end on a hopeful note, or does it end on, like, a resigned note? And I think that's interesting to hear what other people are going to say. I took it as hopeful, but I think that's partially because of my experience in reading it. I literally almost didn't see that there was another little section after where I stopped, and if you stopped where I stopped, it's definitely, I think, hopeful. But then that other little section kind of adds maybe this layer of, like, what, you know, like, you have to read it to see what I mean, but I do highly suggest reading it. It's Morrison, so yeah, it's new, so that's kind of cool, when one of the greatest living writers, you know, publishes something new. I think it totally shows that she still got it, and hopefully she can produce another book or two in her lifetime. Maybe not, this might be her last book, but it's definitely motivated me to read a lot more of her work. I read The Bluest Eye, I read this, I have Sula for my summer TBR, And then I have I really want to read the rest of her works as well. I don't know what order. I don't know how I want to read them. I've considered going, because I read her first book, and this is her last book. And then I was going to read Sula, which is her second book, and then I was going to go to her second to last book, and then her third book, then third to last, and fourth to last, and then meet kind of in the middle. I don't know if that's a good way to do it, though. I'm not sure. I'll have to research. Because I've heard it's also good to read her chronologically, because I think her later stuff's a little bit more abstract and a little bit more, not out there, but I think it's less critically or like historically important than like her earlier stuff. But I want to make that decision, you know what I mean? Like, I want to make that determination. But we'll see. Anyway, if you have any suggestions, feel free to comment below. If you have any comments about Morrison, feel free to comment below. If you have anything at all to say, feel free. I love comments. I love them. Comment. So, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at booksandbeer, booksand_beer. Yeah. And as always, have a good life and happy reading.